What's going on, everyone? What is going on? What's going on? What is going on? So, it just so happened that today I was on my way upstate and, driving. I decided to, click on YouTube. Let me see. Hold on. First of all, let me see if I could actually, um, man, at some point, I kind of want to get this thing from the back and sort of like, wow, you see how that just appeared out of nowhere? Look at that. That's actually pretty cool. But yeah, at some point I want to get this thing off. I don't know how I could I don't remember how I did it, and I don't know how I'm gonna get it off, but at some point I'm gonna do that. But anyway, let's get into the gist of what it is that we're here to talk about. So yeah, again, I was on my way upstate, and while I was driving upstate, I just so happened to switch on to YouTube. And having switched on to YouTube, I came across I guess it might have been MSNBC, or I'm not even entirely sure what the news channel was that I was listening to, and they were talking. It was Trump, and I think I clicked on it because it said something about Trump wanting to expand. I guess he wanted to expand into Canada, expand into Greenland. He wants the Panama Canal, a whole host of different things, and um, I was a bit taken aback by it. I was a little bit surprised, but then again, whenever he does do things, I'm not sure if people can really be surprised that these are the things that he's saying and these are the things that he's doing. Now, what does that actually mean? Is this something that he's actually going to do at some point? I have no idea, right? I don't know if this is actually him just talking, or if this is something that he actually does believe. Because a lot of times when people kind of when they're not truthful, sometimes they're doing so strategically. So maybe sometimes they'll sprinkle some truths into what it is that they're saying in order to really conceal their whole entire agenda. I'm not entirely sure if this is what people voted for. I'm not entirely sure what the ambition is for the average American. Um, you know, but I think we should kind of just slow down a little bit, in regards to expanding, and kind of focus inward, right, on what's actually going on here in the country and how we can make the country better for everyone that's in the country. Um, before you could even consider expanding. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is something that the Canadian people would agree to. I'm not even entirely sure if this is something that every American really wants, but evidently this is something that Trump wants. Now, how it's going to go over, who knows, right? Hopefully, hopefully, the things that he's saying, all of these things that he's saying can be resolved peacefully. Because he's making a lot of big talk right now, and it's actually really, 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 uh I want to say crazy. It's actually really, really crazy. What's happening here? This isn't. I didn't open that. All right, let's see. Boom. So let's see. Here, this tab. Let's see if we could dive into it.
Said you were considering military force to Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force, because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line and you take a look at what that looks like. And it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. But here's the problem with Canada. So many friends up there. I love the Canadian people. They're great. But we're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it. We're spending hundreds of billions a year to take care of Canada. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars. They make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need the cars. We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need their lumber. We have to unrestrict them because stupid people put, restrictions on, but I can do that with an executive order. We don't need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have. We don't need anything. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more to protect Canada? And I said that to, as I called him, Governor Trudeau. I said, listen, what would happen if we didn't subsidize you, if we didn't, because we give them a lot of money. We help them. As an example, we're buying icebreakers, and Canada wants to join us in the buying of icebreakers. I said, we don't really want to have a partner in the buying of icebreakers. We don't need a partner. But no right. Nope. No right. Here's what we have. We have a right not to help them with their financial difficulties because we owe $36 trillion too. We're going to start knocking it out pretty fast, but we're going to be able to do it because of energy and other things. But no right. No right. But why are we supporting a country 200 billion plus a year? Our military is at their disposal. All of these other things, they should be a state. That's why I told Trudeau when he came down, I said, what would happen if we didn't do it? He said Canada would dissolve. Canada wouldn't be able to function if we didn't take their 20% of our car market. They send us hundreds of thousands of cars. They make a lot of money with that. They send us a lot of other things that we don't need. We don't need their cars, and we don't need the other products. We don't need their milk. We got a lot of milk. We got a lot of everything, and we don't need any of it. So I said to him, well, why are we doing it? He said, I don't really know. He was unable to answer the question, but I can answer it. We're doing it because of habit, and we're doing it because we like our neighbors, and we've been good neighbors, but we can't do it forever, and it's a tremendous amount of money. And why should we have a $200 billion deficit and add on to that many, many other things that we give them in terms of subsidy? And I said, that's okay to have if you're a state. But if you're another country, we don't want to have it. We're not going to have it with European Union either. European Union, we have a trade deficit of $350 billion. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take anything. And so we're not going to have it with them either.
Yeah, so you kind of heard him talk about removing that invisible line or that invisible border between the United States and Canada. Now, I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go over, with the Canadian people and with the American people. And, typically when these things do happen, the inevitable thing follows, in which I hope this isn't something that happens, right? Because when people are trying to take over territory, people never willingly surrender. Like that's not something that happens often, if ever, right? Where people are like, oh, hey, yeah, you can take it. What border? What line? So what follows, and I guess he was saying, no, it's not going to be any military action. It's going to be like more economic. I guess, stop sending aid to Canada, among other things. Stop protecting Canada, among other things as well. But I'm not even entirely sure how that's going to go over. How is it going to boil over with the Canadian people? I'm sure they will have some objection in regards to that. I'm not entirely sure why he would say that. I'm not entirely sure why he would say anything, right? Because when you come out and when you say things like this, what you do is you further isolate America. You further isolate the American people. You further isolate yourself, right? So not only is he talking about Canada, he also mentioned the European Union. And there was another one where he mentioned the Panama Canal as well. Let me see, the Panama Canal. Let me see if I can find that one. Wow. All right, so this is one. Yeah, this was one. This one right here was a little bit Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm gonna share this one with you guys as well. Hold on, check this one out. Boom.
Go ahead, please.
Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us what is the
Yeah,
strategy? And
I can't assure you, you're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I get this, we need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way.
Mr. President, back on Greenland.
You see, the thing is, you know, one thing you got to say, right? The dude has the gift of the gab. Now, I'm not entirely sure if what he's saying is actually correct in terms of the Panama Canal being controlled by China. Maybe I got to do a little bit more research about that, about who controls the Panama Canal. And this is something where it's like you just type in type that in and just read the first article. You have to do some extensive research, right, in regards to that to actually get to the bottom of it. So right here, so I typed in who controls the Panama Canal. And it says, after a period of joint American and Panamanian control, the Panamanian government took control in 1999. It is now being managed and operated by the Panamanian government-owned Panama Canal Authority. The original locks are 33.5 meters, 110 feet wide, and allow the passage of Panamax ships. So, according to Google, according to what it is that we just searched, that's not being reflected, right? So what he's saying about the Panama Canal being controlled by China, that's not something that I see here, right? That's not something that the first thing that pops up is not actually, it's not substantiated, right? So who owns the Panama Canal and what does Trump want? All right, so let's see this article right here from The Guardian, right? So let's dive into this article, see if we could kind of educate ourselves, right? Because, I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I know everything or I have all the answers, right? So, we're going to learn these things together, right? So as far as who controls the Panama Canal, according to The Guardian, let's see what this article is right here. So who owns the Panama Canal and what does Trump want with it? So this article was actually, I guess it was written on the last month, right? Which is 2024, December of 2024. I guess this is when it was written. U.S. President-elect has threatened to retake the canal over exorbitant rates, but Panama's president rejected. Right? So this is the guy that everyone was saying he stands for peace and he's all about peace and peace this and peace that, right? Oftentimes when you approach certain things in a hostile way or you want to take control and you want to, you're using phrases like this, right? So people already know what type of timing you're on, right? And people are going to resist these things, right? Whenever you try to do this hostile takeover. Instead of negotiating, sitting down, speaking to the president, speaking to the president of Panama, or what they have in Panama, a president, right? So speaking to the leader, whomever the leader is, whether it be a president, a prime minister, whatever it is, right? Negotiating something, right? And obviously, this is not going to be something where people are going to just willy-nilly just give up their assets, whatever these assets are, right? Oftentimes people, people don't, what did Kanye West say back in the day? Do you have the power to let power go? And I think Donald Trump knows all too well about that, right? So don't expect Panama to just be like, here, take it. Here, I didn't want it anyway. It was just a burden, right? So evidently, what he's doing is he's threatening, or so it seems, right? Allegedly, but to take it by force. So let's
Go ahead,
listen to
please.
that again.
Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of the areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
Can you tell us what is the
Yeah,
strategy?
I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and
So you can assure you that he's not going to use military.
Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this. We need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit.
You know what's crazy about this stuff? Because it becomes a little bit one-sided, right? Because it's like, we need them for this, this, and this. But what about what Panama needs, right? The needs of the people of Panama, that's also something that's going to matter as well. So sure, it's all good and dandy, all fine and well with what it is that we need, but also, what is it that they need? Did you ever stop to think about that? Is that something that ever crossed your mind? Did that ever cross your mind? Anytime? Think about it, right? The people of Panama, the government over there in Panama, I'm sure they have their reasons as to why it is that they want to have access or have control over the Panama Canal. You're telling us, well, we need it for this, 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 and this. But what about what it is that they need? What is it that they need? Maybe figure out what it is that they need and get to negotiating with them as well. See if this is something where both governments, both countries can work together for a common solution that benefits all parties involved. How does that sound? Sounds pretty darn good to me. That way, everybody's happy. Everyone is okay, right? But like when you approach this, like it's a hostile takeover, what I say goes, give me this and get out, or else. You see where it kind of creates tension? You see where it seems like you're somewhat of a bully? And in this day and age, yes, as far as the military force is, America does have the superior military force. But at the end of the day, that's not all that matters, right? That's not all that matters. Because when people are able to form alliances with other countries and form alliances with enemies, then that becomes a problem. So I think always the best way to going into these things, especially in this new day and age, because things are not going to be done like how they were done before, is to negotiate. Can't be a hostile takeover. People have egos. People have pride. And not only ego and pride, people are going to stand up for what it is that they believe in as well. And if people start viewing you as if you're a bully, which they probably already do, but it's probably not going to go well.
To that now, it might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China.
You see, that's the thing. You know what I mean? Kind of, again, the gift of the gab, kind of just fear-mongering. Oh, China owns the Panama Canal, but we gave it to you, but China runs it. But show us the evidence. I want to see the evidence, right? So again, let's over here because he's saying that China owns it, right? But first of all, let's get back to the Guardian article that we were reading before and see if we can get to the bottom of this. So what is the Panama Canal? Well, the canal is a major waterway connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, allowing sea travelers to avoid an additional 7,000 nautical miles or 13,000 kilometers around the tip of South America. The 51-mile, 82-kilometer canal cuts through the middle of Panama, a country occupying the strip of the canal the strip of land between between Central America and South America. In the year 30 September, I don't know what's happening here. It says in the year to 30 September, okay, almost 10,000 ships passed through the canal, carrying 432 tons, including food, minerals, and factory-made products. More than 40% of consumer goods traded last year between Northeast Asia and the U.S. East Coast were transported through the canal. So again, more than 40%, according to this article, of consumer goods traded last year between Northeast Asia and the U.S. East Coast were transported through the canal. So I see why it would be something that's very valuable, right? That way you can carry out, all sorts of sanctions. You could stop people from coming through if they don't have the proper clearance, but evidently it goes through Panama, right? So according to what the article says is that it goes through Panama, right? See, it says it cuts through the middle of Panama. Give me 1 second. Hold on. As a matter of fact, before we even do that, let me open another tab and let me map. I want to see a map of the Panama Canal. I want to see a map of the Panama Canal and where it is, what it looks like. I'm sure I've looked at it years ago, right? I'm sure I've looked at it years ago. Hold on. Did I click on maps? Panama Canal. All right, boom. So let's go ahead and share this tab instead, right? Let's look at what the Panama Canal looks like, right? Okay. I don't want to accept any cookies, so preferences, decline all. Don't want to accept any cookies. All right, so this is what the Panama Canal looks like, right? This is where the Panama Canal is, and this is the country of Panama. So the Panama Canal goes directly through the country of Panama, right? So you see why the Panama Canal is so essential to the national security of Panama. Hold on 1 second. Wait a second. Hold on. What's going on? What's going on here? Sorry about that, guys. I thought you guys were seeing what I was seeing. So this is what it is that I was talking about right here, right? So take a look at this. This is the Panama Canal, right? This is what the Panama Canal looks like. And the Panama Canal is right here. So it goes through right here. So what that means is, right, instead of you having to go all the way around, right? Let's see if we can look at a map. I don't want to go to AdSense, no. Just want to go to google.com. All right, so if we were to look at a map of South America, right? This is the U.S., this is South America, right? U.S., South America, right? Here we are taking a look at the U.S. and South America, right? So you have the Panama Canal, which is right around here. This is the country of Panama. This is where the Panama Canal is, right? So you got the Panama Canal, which is roundabout right here from what we looked at through the last in the last slide, right? So if you're getting goods from China, right? Or getting goods from, let's say, Southeast Asia or whatever it is, right? Somewhere over here, you're getting goods from over here, right? The quickest way for you to get to Florida, the quickest way for you to get to New York would probably be to go through the Panama Canal, right? Go right through the Panama Canal, as opposed to going here, going all the way up from down here to all the way up here, and then go here. So see, it's like a quicker line. So it's like boom, you just go boom, as opposed to going boom, right? So yeah, I could see why the Panama Canal would probably be something that's so it's something that's so coveted by Panama, and why Donald Trump would want the Panama Canal. Unfortunately, it's not one of those things where these people are going to willingly be like, "Hey, let's take it. We don't want it anyway." Right? So again, 40% of the goods, according to the article, or 40% of consumer goods that were traded last year between Northeast Asia and the US were transported through the canal. So the US is the canal's biggest customer, responsible for about 3/4 of the cargo moving through it each year, while China is the second biggest customer. So I guess this is what it is that he was talking about, right? So, but according to this article, and look, all of these things, these things are all happening for a reason. My objective is, my whole thing is, I just want peace, right? Peace. That's it. And people to coexist and have peace, right? So the US, again, is the canal's biggest customer, responsible for about 3/4 of the cargo moving through it each year, while China is the second biggest customer. So I guess this is what it is that he was talking about when he was talking about, oh, China owns the canal and this, that, and the third. The government of Panama has owned and operated the canal through a dedicated agency, the Panama Canal Authority, for 25 years. The U.S. operated the canal during the 20th century, taking control of the canal zone and beginning construction in 1904 after helping Panama win independence from Colombia. The canal opened in 1914, revolutionizing shipping. All right, what's happening here? Okay, revolutionizing global shipping and allowing thousands of cargo freights and American battleships to pass through each year. U.S. control of the canal and the exclusion of Panamanians created tension between locals and U.S. visitors, prompting authorities to erect a wall between Panama City and the canal zone in the 50s. Wait, what? So U.S. control of the canal and the exclusion of Panamanians. So the U.S. control of the canal and the exclusion of Panamanians created tensions. So the control and the exclusion of the Panamanians. See, again, this is what it is that we were talking about. See, I didn't even know this. When I'm talking about what's best for Panama, is we're looking at it. What's in it for us? Created tension between locals and U.S. visitors, prompting authorities to erect a wall between Panama City and the Canal Zone in the 1950s. On the 9th of January, 1964, a major protest broke out and 28 people were unalived in ensuing repression by authorities, sparking intentional outrage and encouraging U.S. strategists to abandon the canal. In 1977, the U.S. President Jimmy Carter and the Panamanian leader Omar Torrijos signed 2 treaties to phase out U.S. control of the canal. After a period of joint administration marred in 1989, U.S. invasion to overthrow the military leader Manuel Noriega, Panama took full control of the canal in 1999. So this is what it is that we're talking about, and that's within my lifetime for sure. So this is what they were talking about when they're talking about 25 years. So I guess it's going on 26 now because it's 2025. Trump has demanded that the Panama Canal return the canal to the U.S. unless it manages the waterway in a fashion he considers acceptable. Unless you manage it in a way that look at this. So I understand that it's in your country, but unless you manage it in a way that I find acceptable, you won't be in control of this for too long. So the U.S. president-elect took issue with what he described as the exorbitant rates that the U.S. government, Navy, and businesses were charged for using the passage. The fees being charged by Panama are ridiculous, he wrote. This complete ripoff of our country will immediately stop. Ships using the canal must pay fees set by the Canal Authority. Variable rates have soared in recent years amid droughts worsened by global heating, which dry up essential reservoirs and reduce the canal's capacity. As a result of the severe drought in late 2023, only 22 ships crossed the canal each day instead of the usual 36, forcing ships to quay, I'm not entirely sure what that word is, queue for weeks or pay as much as $4 million. To jump ahead, transit fell by nearly a third in the year to September. The Canal Authority has allowed raising number of ships to use the canal over 2024, easing the congestion, but will increase charges and introduce some additional fees on the 1st of January 2025. So more fees are evidently coming. Panama's president, Jose Raul Mulino, said the canal's transit fees were not inflated. Trump also warned he would not let the canal fall in hands and appeared to suggest China was exerting influence over it. A Chinese company based in Hong Kong controls 2 of the 5 ports adjacent to the canal, one on each side. But Molino said Panama had full control of the canal. Every square meter of the canal and its adjacent zones is part of Panama, and it will continue to be, he said in the video statement on Sunday. Why you can rely on the okay, I think that's something completely different. Now let's listen to what else.
Use that gift. It should have never been made, by the way.
Mr. President, back to Greenland. Your position is clear, but have you directed your staff to take specific actions to draw up plans? And can you elaborate again? You didn't rule out military coercion.
Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time. You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world. You look at, you don't even need binoculars. You look outside, you have China ships all over the place. You have Russian ships all over the place. We're not letting that happen. We're not letting it happen. And if Denmark wants to get to a conclusion, but nobody knows if they even have any right, title, or interest. The people are going to probably vote for independence or to come into the United States. But if they did do that, then I would tariff Denmark at a very high level.
You asked your staff to draw plans for acquisition. I mean, are you active?
No, we're not at that stage. But we have people. I haven't even entered office.
Well, he does have a point. He hasn't entered office yet. But looks like this guy has big ambitions. We'll see how far those ambitions go. Let's see, boom. Let's get back to this. Yeah, it's like he has a lot of really big ambitions, but yeah, we'll see how that kind of boils over. Let's see, let's see what the people of Panama think about your ambition. Let's see what the people of what's the other country you mentioned? Greenland and Canada Let's see what it is that they think about your ambition, right? Because again, this is something where you can't just feel like you're just going to bully people into submission in this day and age, right? Because you never know what people are willing to do, right? And he mentioned everything that's important to him or important to us or important to, but what about the people of Panama? What's important to them, right? What about them? What about their security? What is it that you're providing them in exchange for control over the canal? I think negotiating, right? I think negotiating is probably, you know, I think that should always be the first course of action, right? I think you should always approach things where it's like, unless your back is against the wall or your life is being threatened or, something of the sort. I think it's always in your best interest to try to negotiate things first before you get all gung ho and try for this hostile takeover. You know what I mean? But yeah. But anyway, guys, just let me know what it is that you think about this in the comment section below. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about that. And I told you guys I was going to talk much about politics, and I am sticking to that, right? But whenever I do see things like this, where I feel like these things are extremely important for us to talk about, I will talk about these things because I think people need to be aware of this. So anyway, on your way out, hit me with the like, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and I will see you guys. I'll probably be back later on tonight, right? Because I'm feeling real streamy, but I'm probably not going to be talking about Trump on the next stream. But see you guys in a little bit. Bye-bye.